In 1958, a team of American engineers built a machine so massive it could carry an entire village across the most hostile environment on Earth. It weighed more than 10 school buses. It burned fuel faster than a jet engine. And it had a fatal flaw that nobody discovered until it was already 1,200 miles from civilization. This is the story of the Antarctic Snow Crawler, a machine that wasn't supposed to exist. Antarctica isn't just cold. It's a frozen alien world where metal shatters, fuel turns to jelly, and machines die in silence. But in the middle of the Cold War, scientists needed to cross it. So they designed something impossible, a land train that could survive the planet's cruelest laboratory. What they built shocked even its creators. And what happened to it? Even stranger. Here are 22 weird facts about the machine that almost conquered Antarctica. Fact number 1. It was called a train, but it had no tracks. The official name was the Antarctic Snow Cruiser, but engineers called it a land train. Except there were no rails, no tracks. Just 4 smooth tires designed to glide over endless ice. It moved like a ship on snow. Slow, silent, unstoppable. At least, that was the plan. Fact number 2. It weighed 75,000 pounds empty. Before they loaded a single supply crate, the snow cruiser weighed 37 tons. That's heavier than a fully loaded semi-truck. And this thing was supposed to float across powder snow. Spoiler, physics had other plans. Fact number 3. It was 56 feet long, longer than a bowling lane. Standing next to it, you wouldn't see a vehicle. You'd see a mobile fortress. At 56 feet long, 20 feet wide, and 16 feet tall, the snow cruiser wasn't just big, it was architecturally intimidating. One journalist said it looked like a blood-red submarine on wheels. He wasn't exaggerating. Fact number 4. It could house a crew of 5 for an entire year. Inside the crawler was a full living quarters, bunk beds, a galley kitchen, a dark room for developing photos, a machine shop, and even a biological lab. 5 men could live inside this thing for 12 months without ever stepping outside. It was a mobile survival capsule designed for total isolation. Everything you needed to survive Antarctica was packed into this rolling bunker. Fact number 5. It had its own airplane stored on the roof. Yes, the snow cruiser carried a Beechcraft biplane on top of it. The plane could scout ahead for crevasses, then land back on the roof using a retractable ramp. Imagine parallel parking a plane on a moving vehicle in negative 60-degree winds. The idea was genius on paper. In reality, terrifying. Fact number 6. It was designed by one man in just 6 weeks. Polar explorer Thomas Poulter sketched the entire concept in late 1939. No computer models, no prototypes, just pencil, paper, and blind ambition. He pitched it, the government approved it, and they gave him 1 year to build it. 1 year to create something that had never existed before. Fact number 7. It cost $150,000 in 1939. That's $3.3 million today. In the middle of the Great Depression, the US government funded a massive experimental snow vehicle with taxpayer money. Critics called it Poulter's folly. They weren't entirely wrong, but the government had bigger plans. This wasn't just about science, it was about dominance. Fact number 8. It was built in 11 months in a Chicago factory. The Pullman Company, famous for building luxury rail cars, was hired to construct it. Workers had never seen anything like it. Welders worked triple shifts. Engineers improvised solutions daily. In less than a year, the impossible became real. On October 24th, 1939, the snow cruiser rolled out of the factory doors for the first time. Fact number 9. Its tires were smooth. Completely smooth. No treads, no chains, just giant smooth rubber tires designed to float on snow. The logic? Treads would sink. Smooth tires would distribute weight evenly like a sled. In theory, brilliant. In practice, a catastrophe waiting to happen. Fact number 10. It broke through a bridge on the way to Antarctica. During the test drive from Chicago to Boston, the snow cruiser drove across a small bridge in Ohio. The bridge collapsed under its weight. Engineers had to reinforce the vehicle's route all the way to the coast. Before it even reached Antarctica, it was already destroying infrastructure. Fact number 11. It got stuck 800 feet after unloading. When the snow cruiser rolled off the ship in Antarctica, it moved exactly 100 feet before its smooth tires spun uselessly on ice. It couldn't gain traction. Engineers tried everything. Ropes, reverse driving, tire deflation. Nothing worked. The machine built to conquer a continent couldn't move past its own unloading zone. Fact number 12. They tried driving it backwards, and it worked. In desperation, the crew threw it in reverse. Shockingly, the rear tires, smaller and with better weight distribution, gripped slightly better, so they drove Antarctica's most advanced vehicle in reverse. For miles. Imagine explaining that to the engineers back home. Fact number 13. It had 4 diesel engines but only 150 horsepower. Despite weighing 37 tons, the Snow Cruiser's combined engines produced just 150 horsepower. That's less than a modern Honda Civic. To move this beast across Antarctica, engineers needed a miracle. Instead, they got math problems. Lots of math problems. Fact number 14. It could only go 30 miles on a full tank. The Snow Cruiser guzzled fuel so fast that its maximum range was 30 miles before needing a refill. In a continent larger than the United States, that's not a vehicle, it's a very expensive paperweight. The logistics of refueling in Antarctica made long-distance travel impossible. Fact number 15. It overheated in Antarctica. Yes, you read that right. In the coldest place on Earth, the Snow Cruiser's engines overheated. The insulation meant to keep warmth and trap too much heat inside. Coolant boiled. Engines seized. Antarctica broke the machine built to survive it. The irony was not lost on the crew. Fact number 16. The crew used it as a stationary building. After realizing it couldn't move, the crew repurposed it. The Snow Cruiser became a research station, workshop, and shelter. For years, it sat frozen in place, a monument to engineering ambition. Scientists conducted experiments inside. Mechanics tinkered with repairs they knew would never matter. It never moved again. Fact number 17. It was buried by snow and rediscovered decades later. Over time, Antarctic snow buried the entire vehicle. By the 1,950 seconds, it vanished completely. Then, in 1958, a team stumbled upon it using ground-penetrating radar. They dug down and found it perfectly preserved, like a time capsule. Still intact, still haunting. Fact number 18. Someone tried to start it, and it worked. When researchers found it in 1958, they climbed inside. One brave soul turned the ignition. After 18 years buried in ice, after being abandoned and entombed, the engine coughed and fired up. The Snow Cruiser had survived abandonment better than its mission. The gauges still worked. The lights still turned on. It was ready to drive again. But by then, nobody needed it to. Fact number 19. It's now under 300 feet of ice. The Snow Cruiser has since been swallowed entirely by the Ross Ice Shelf. Experts estimate it's now buried under 300 feet of compacted snow and ice. It's moving slowly toward the ocean, carried by the glacier itself. In a few centuries, it'll carve off into the sea and sink forever. The ocean will claim what Antarctica couldn't destroy. Fact number 20. No one knows its exact location anymore. The ice shelf moves. GPS didn't exist in 1939. Landmarks don't stay put in Antarctica. Today, the Snow Cruiser is lost again, drifting in frozen darkness beneath the ice. It's a ghost ship, on land, and we may never find it again. Fact number 21. It inspired modern Antarctic vehicles. Despite its failure, the Snow Cruiser taught engineers everything. Modern Antarctic traverses, like the massive Kessbora piston bullies, owe their existence to Poulter's mistakes. Today's vehicles use tracks instead of tires. They're lighter, more efficient, more powerful. They learned from the Snow Cruiser's spectacular failure. Failure built the blueprint for success. Fact number 22. It was never supposed to work. It was a publicity stunt. Here's the secret historians won't tell you. Some insiders believe the Snow Cruiser was always about Cold War propaganda. Show the Soviets that America could conquer Antarctica. Whether it worked didn't matter. The image did. The headlines did. And for a brief moment in 1939, the world believed America had built the impossible. But here's the final twist. The Snow Cruiser wasn't the only doomed machine sent to Antarctica. The machines that came after the Snow Cruiser's failure, you'd think engineers would give up on Antarctic mega vehicles. They didn't. They built more. In 1955, the US Navy deployed a fleet of modified tractors called Snowcats for Operation Deep Freeze. These actually worked. They completed the first overland journey to the South Pole. The difference? They learned from Poulter's mistakes. Tracks instead of tires. Lower weight. Higher power. The Snow Cruiser's failure paved the road for their success. The Soviet response. But the Soviets, they went bigger. In the 1,970 seconds, they deployed a nuclear-powered drilling rig to Antarctica, designed to bore through 2 miles of solid ice. The goal was to reach Lake Vostok, a subglacial lake that had been sealed off from the world for 15 million years. What kind of life could survive down there? What ancient organisms might they find? The drill worked. It punched through the ice. And then, something happened. The Soviets stopped drilling just 400 feet above the lake. They sealed the borehole. They classified everything. The official reason? Environmental concerns. The unofficial reason? That's still classified. The abandoned base. Then there's Plateau Station. Built in 1966 on the Antarctic Plateau at 12,000 feet elevation, it was the highest research station ever constructed. The winds there were so violent that supply planes could only land a few weeks per year. After 8 years, they abandoned it. Just walked away. Left everything behind. The buildings are still there, buried under snow, filled with frozen food, equipment, and personal belongings. It's a perfectly preserved snapshot of 1,974. And nobody's going back for it. The conspiracy theory. Here's where it gets weird. Some researchers believe the snow cruiser wasn't abandoned because it failed. They believe it found something. See, in 1947, just a few years after the snow cruiser was left behind, the U.S. launched Operation High Jump. Over 4,000 troops, 13 ships, 33 aircraft. The largest Antarctic expedition in history. The official mission? Established research bases. But the mission was cut short after just 8 weeks. Admiral Richard Byrd, who led the operation, gave a mysterious interview afterward. He said the US needed to prepare for the possibility of an invasion by aircraft that could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. What did they find down there? Nobody's saying. The truth about the snow cruiser. So what really happened to the snow cruiser? Was it a failed experiment? A propaganda stunt? Or did it serve a purpose we still don't understand? The U.S. government has never attempted to recover it. They know where the ice shelf is. They have the technology, but they've never gone back. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe it's too dangerous. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a reason they want it to stay buried. The machine that was supposed to conquer Antarctica is now part of Antarctica. Forever drifting, forever frozen, forever lost. The legacy. The snow cruiser represents something bigger than engineering failure. It represents human obsession, the need to conquer the unconquerable, to build the unbuildable, to survive the unsurvivable. We sent a 37-ton machine into the most hostile place on Earth, and Antarctica swallowed it whole. It's still down there, moving, waiting. A metal tomb sliding slowly toward the sea. And one day, centuries from now, it'll carve off the ice shelf and sink into the Southern Ocean. The Antarctic Snow Cruiser will finally complete its journey, not across the continent, but into the abyss below it. The machine built to survive Antarctica will become part of Antarctica forever.